Welcome to the Experiment Builder Introductory Video Tutorial Series. In this video series, we'll be discussing the fundamentals of Experiment Builder programming in the context of the Posner task. Experiment Builder is a Python-based programming environment that allows you to implement experimental designs using a graphical drag and drop interface. It has built-in EyeLink support, making the implementation of eye tracking experiments, including those with a gaze contingent aspect to them, quick and easy. Experiment Builder can present images, videos, text, and other types of visual stimuli to the participant with precision, allowing visual stimulus timing control down to the screen retrace level. And it also provides precise timing for both audio playback and recording. Experiment Builder also has features designed to facilitate the eventual analysis of the eye tracking data, including the ability to auto-segment text into interest areas and to mark the position of moving smooth pursuit targets over time in the eye tracking data file for easy comparison with eye position data in analysis. Experiment Builder runs on Windows and Mac OS computers. You can edit and run experiments in both of these environments, and you can even open experiments that were programmed in Windows on Mac and vice versa. Before we get into the details of how to use Experiment Builder, let's discuss the very basics of how it works and the life cycle of a typical experiment. When designing an experiment in Experiment Builder, the overall process is typically as follows. You first design the experiment by running the Experiment Builder application and using its graphical user interface to build up a flowchart of the experiment. We'll discuss how to do this later, but as we create and edit an experiment, we of course will want to save it as we go. When you save an Experiment Builder project, you specify the name of the experimental project and the location where you'd like to save the project. This will create an entire folder in the location you specified. The Posner task we'll discuss in this series as an example has this typical experimental project folder structure, as it should. And you can see that the example projects that come bundled with Experiment Builder have this same folder structure. All Experiment Builder projects have a file called graph.ebd in the main project folder. And to reopen the project, you can double-click on that graph.ebd file from Windows Explorer or Finder on Mac, or you can open it from the Experiment Builder interface. In general, you should always manage an Experiment Builder folder through Experiment Builder and avoid manually editing or deleting any files in the project folder. If you need to move the project around while working on it, for example, you might want to send it to a colleague as an email attachment, then you can package it into one file using the file package command. That will create a single file with an EBZ extension, and that file can be expanded to a full version of the experiment using the file unpack command. Once you have finished building the experiment using Experiment Builder's graphical interface, you can test the experiment to make sure it's working as intended by doing a test run of the experiment. You can perform a test run by going to Experiment Test Run or by clicking the Test Run button from the top of the interface. It looks like a play button. This will run the project from the Experiment Builder application to allow you to make sure that things are working as intended. Doing a test run will yield an EyeLink data file, and you can use that file to ensure that the type of data that you may need for analysis has been collected. Note though that test runs should not be used for real data collection with a participant. Their purpose is just to allow you to make sure that things are working correctly. Though the experiment will behave just like it will when you are collecting real participant data, only the data file from the latest test run will be saved, and any data collected during previous test runs will be deleted upon new test runs. Once the project is working as intended, you then deploy the experiment by going to Experiment Deploy. This will create a new folder on your computer that will look a bit like the pre-deployed Experiment Builder project, but notably will have an executable file whose name comes from the name of the project instead of the graph.ebd file. It is this deployed folder that you will use for collecting real experimental data. When you're ready to test an experiment, you can double-click on the executable file from Windows Explorer or Finder on Mac to run the experiment. Each time you run the experiment, you'll be prompted to enter the EDF file name. The EDF file is the EyeLink data file for the run. At the end of the run, this EDF file will be transferred from the host PC to the display PC and saved in the deployed project's results folder in its own subfolder. Please note that while you need to be using an Experiment Builder license key to build and edit experiments, you do not need the license key for running deployed Experiment Builder projects. So, once you have finished developing an experiment and have deployed it, you do not need a license key for data collection. When you're ready for data analysis, you should always make sure that you take a full copy of the deployed project folder to the analysis computer you'll be using, and not just a copy of the EDF files by themselves. While the EDF files contain the eye tracking data, the project folder will contain other files that are used in analysis, including image and video files and files that store interest area information. The EDF files point to these other files, and if those files have not been copied over to the analysis computer as well, then you will likely be unable to see the experimental stimuli or use any interest areas your project had in Data Viewer. So, just make sure you have a full copy of the deployed project folder if you're going to do your analysis on a different computer.